you don't like drag queens, don't go see them. It's okay. I am almost too selfish to be a parent. I am the person Poshmark is made for. One of the things that my son has talked about maybe being when he grows up is an elementary music school teacher. And I'm like, oh, but you're gonna be so poor.
Yeah.
I forget what a social life is.
What is that?
Friend?
A friend. Oh.
Oh.
I guess that's
friends?
what. I think so. Oh. I think so. That's what other people have, I think.
Friends in real life? Because
yeah.
I have like internet friends.
Internet friends?
I have a guy that I met through Facebook on a hiking group.
Okay.
And we have gotten somehow never met, never even talked on the phone, but we're good friends.
Really?
Is that weird?
It's crazy how like social media.
It's like a pen pal thing, but not.
Social media made pen pals again.
But it brought so much other negativity to the world.
That is true. I mean, there's pros and cons, you know. You have a pen pal, you get low self-esteem, it's fine.
I think they're one of the worst things that's happened to humanity. It's just so much of a platform of hate. I hate myself. I hate other people. I hate this ethnic group. I hate gay people. It's just, I get so sick of it. I'm here for the content of cats and puppies and, recipes.
Yeah.
Show me that. That's what I want. I grew up pre-internet.
Okay.
So now here I am dealing with raising somebody who has always had the internet and always had easy access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very careful about explaining to them things like, don't talk to people you don't know on the internet. Like, be very careful about the information you share because just because somebody says they're another 12-year-old boy doesn't mean they are.
That's true.
And you have to be very careful about what they watch, what they consume in so many ways because they hear it. Definitely that adage about they're just little sponges, they really truly are. So, you have to be really careful about explaining to them that a lot of the things you see on TikTok are not real. They are either just complete fabrications because why would there be a camera in this moment if it was real?
Yeah.
You have to teach them how to think logically and how to decipher on their own, is this healthy content? Is this real content? Or is this just content that's made to look real? It's difficult because you also have to remind them, maybe my values or our values that we're trying to raise you with do not match with what you're watching, and that is why I don't want you watching that thing.
For sure. That's a little hard.
It is. And there are other things that you completely have to limit them from and say, no, you don't have access to that because you're not ready. And it's things like Reddit.
Reddit. Shout out Reddit, man. I had a little dabbling with Reddit, just like seeing what it was and everything. I live under a rock.
It's a hole. It's a black hole. Like you can get sucked, and that's the problem. It's like, and it's almost too easy to access certain content on there. And because my child's 12, we're at that weird age where he's too old for like the kiddie things, but he's not old enough for a teenager account yet. And some of the teenager content is fine, but it's not really what he's interested in. So it's like, you have to be very, very aware of what your kid is doing. It also requires a level of trust. My kid knows that I'm not like watching him and going behind him and watching everything he's watched and filtering things. But at the same time, I trust him to know that if I hear an F-bomb come out of that TikTok, we are gonna fight. Like use your morals that I'm raising you with to judge what is right and what's not.
I could definitely see that, you know. But at the same time, this is something that we have to all learn at some point, It's just in this particular instance, it's given with a whole bunch of different add-ons.
He's changing and becoming the human being he's going to be. And, he is outgrowing a lot of the little kid things and a lot of the little kid hobbies and things like that. And he's really trying to find his niche. And I have to keep reminding myself that my job as his parent is not to mold him into what niche I want him to fit into, but to support him as he finds healthy and safe things of his own.
Gotcha.
And so...
How do you do that?
You let him make choices, but you make him follow through even when he doesn't like those choices. This year was the first year he's ever done a school play. Okay. And this is actually the first year his school has ever done a play. Okay. So it was kind of perfect timing. He comes in, he's first year in middle school, and so, he's really learning the dynamic because it's different. And he didn't want to be an actor in the play. He said, Mom, I just don't really want to be that front and center. I was like, I feel you, bro. Yeah, no, I 100% get that. So I said, okay, well, go out for crew. There's plenty of crew positions. They will put you to work somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
The next thing I know, my kid's on like a third round of an interview. And I was like,
For crew?
I've had jobs with less interviews than this.
No.
Then he finds out that some of his teachers have given him amazing character references. I was like, you needed character references? What is that?
Wow. I didn't know you needed a reference for a school play.
Day the jobs get posted, he finds out the reason he had to go through so many auditions and so many interviews and character references is that he got assistant stage manager. And so the cool thing about this is that not only did he get like the second highest position in the students, he already knows next year he'll be stage manager. So it is, that's why it was such an involved process. And why the hell would I have known that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He didn't even know that.
Exactly.
And he found his people. He's really good at telling people this is what needs to get done and doing it in a way that doesn't come off as being a little douchebag because, that's hard to temper when you're 12.
For sure. Especially at 12.
Correct. And especially when you're bossing around kids who are 2 years older than you and 2 feet taller than you, and you're learning as you go.
For sure.
This is a good moment for him. This is where we are building the character that all my yelling and all my lecturing will never do. And I realized he really loves this. And so I asked him, do you want to keep doing this? Is this something that, do we need to get you involved in this outside of school? Is this going to be your thing? And he told me, Mom, sports are not ever going to be my thing. I'm not ever going to get into college on sports. And I went,
okay, realist.
Okay, so what's your game plan here? And I've always been really honest with my son that I do not have the money to send him to college. I don't. It's not there. I don't have. I'm paying off my own college. How the hell am I supposed to pay for my child's college,
Exactly.
And that is such a shitty situation to be in.
Which is very mature at 12.
Yeah. The fact that he understands it, bruh, we got to have a game plan.
Yeah, literally.
This ain't cheap. And we really need to decide what we're going to do. Right now, his game plan is to join the National Guard.
Okay.
And use his GI Bill to pay for college. Because he understands that he loves sports, but he doesn't have a strong aptitude towards any one sport. So it's not like he's going to be, he's not going to be the next soccer star. He's not going to be the next basketball star. His heart's just not in it to that level.
Gotcha.
So,
and that takes a lot of dedication.
And a lot of time and a lot of practice. And he just doesn't feel that calling like some kids do, and that's okay.
I love the birds chirping in the background.
Oh yeah, isn't that the best? We stay out here long enough, and who only knows what wildlife will wander by. There's deer, we have owls. There were owls arguing the other day in our front yard.
Okay.
That was really weird. So,
I love that owls arguing then. Okay.
Yeah.
They have lives too.
It's an experience, and I figure I'm in their habitat, so I should probably just leave them alone.
Yeah. I'm a big nature watcher.
I pull into my driveway and there's a mommy deer with 2 little babies. And they're so little, they still have the polka dots.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Gotcha,
and so these are babies.
Yeah.
I got inside and I was so excited. I was like, Mom, Dad, we have new babies.
Yeah.
It's just oh, I'm so old.
Why are we old? I think there's nothing wrong with being excited about new life, especially when you're seeing these deer and these animals on a consistent basis.
Oh.
They
get to know you.
Yeah, exactly.
They understand when it's safe for them to stay where they are. Some of these deer have been coming around for a couple of years now. And now I'm seeing them have babies. And it's oh my God, this is so strange. It's quiet. I don't have, neighbors having parties until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I don't have to worry about porch pirates are not a thing. So Amazon Prime Day, literally we got 11 packages delivered at this house today. I love Prime Day. So Jeff Bezos got so much of my money over those couple of days.
Shout out, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. Can I have some of it back? Because that would be great. Okay, so as a single parent, you really realize shit's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the older they get and the more Jordans he asks for, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, kid? Like, you outgrow a pair of shoes every 6 months. Mm-mm.
Yeah, literally.
Are you buying these?
Yeah. I mean, but it's like the concept of money doesn't really hit the same whenever you're not spending it.
Oh, it does now. Oh, no, honey. So I am very much that mom that I'm like, oh, you want that? Well, you're going to earn it. Okay. Oh, and slave wages.
Slave wages.
So bad. I'm like, oh, you did this job. It took you 2 hours. Yeah, $10. Legitimately, he's got to learn somehow.
For sure.
That everything you do costs money.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Yes.
You want a motorcycle? Cool. Maintenance, gas, tires, license, registration, insurance. Let's talk.
Exactly.
And it's like, those are the things that, in a lot of ways, I wish my parents had taught me more. And so I'm taking a more hands-on approach with him than my parents did. I think my parents thought I would just kind of pick this up as I went.
I think a lot of parents do.
The shit, man. Like, that's not ever how that works.
Yeah.
And I've decided, I'm going to teach my kids so that he's a little bit better prepared for real life when it happens, because he needs to understand that money does not grow on trees. Exactly. Mom does not have a lot of it. So yeah, I do my Christmas shopping in July on Prime Day because I know that this Lego set that just went on sale for $100 off, I can't afford that at full price. But cool, all right, I can do that instead, So it's like, you really do you start going, okay, if we want to have a solid Christmas, I got to start planning now and buying like big ticket items as I go. And pray to God he does not change hobby in the meantime, because I am screwed.
Have you been on Poshmark? There's no shame in Poshmark.
I fucking love Poshmark. Okay, Matt, I'm so glad we're clearing the air on this.
Yeah.
I was raised not rich.
Okay.
Like,
same. I got you.
This house is a miracle to me, kind of thing. So we moved around a lot when I was a kid. We didn't have a lot of money, but I was really happy. But I definitely wore a lot of secondhand clothes.
Okay, got you.
And I was okay with it, mostly because I was a tomboy. So to me, my shit needed to be able to, like, I was in the grass, I was in the dirt, like, I was bringing frogs home. Like, please do not put me in some girly dress that you need me to take care of. That shit ain't gonna happen.
Got you.
So I grew up a lot of times wearing secondhand clothes. I thought that was normal. And then it took me a long time to figure out that it wasn't. I am the person Poshmark is made for.
Okay. Like, poster child. Love it.
Yeah. I am the person that it's like, oh, there's this new trend that I like, but I don't want to spend $100 on a pair of jeans. Let's see what we can find. So, matter of fact, true story, I bought the pair of jeans today.
Okay.
I bought the jeans that I did not want to spend $100 for. I bought them $20, same brand.
Ooh.
New with tags on Poshmark because some girl got them. They didn't fit. And I was like, oh, bet. So hopefully they'll be delivered by this time next weekend. That's my plan.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm gonna start getting more on Poshmark.
Dude, you'd be surprised the number of things you can find up there. Like, it originally started off, it was just clothes. It was just women's clothes.
Got you.
And then the men started breaking into their clothes a little bit.
I about to say, do they have men's clothes on there? Because men don't really buy clothes, so men
and luckily for you guys,
clothes.
y'all's styles do not fucking change.
That is very true.
Ever.
You get plain t-shirts and you're pretty much golden.
Oh my God. We don't have that luxury. Like, our styles change drastically.
Okay.
Every couple of years, you'll find that, okay, it'll last about 2 winters or so, 2 summers or so. And then we have to change our shit up all the way through. And it's like, fucking kidding me, we just did this. So, like, these flare leg jeans that are back out, y'all are fucking killing me.
Okay. Yeah,
we did
I
this
remember
shit in the
those,
90s, man. Like, you
things
remember?
go in cycles.
But back then, our zippers were like this long. Y'all remember that
facts.
shit? Like,
That's facts.
Like, oh my God, we had to buy special underwear that stayed below the line, you had certain, and I was like, we're bringing flare legs back? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, you get up there and you realize there are a lot of people who are like, I don't want to just throw this away. I don't want to Goodwill it. Especially now that people are learning how much Goodwill then throws away and adds to landfills. You're like,
Goodwill throws stuff away? I did not know that.
I read an article one time that talked about, I don't even remember the god-awful number of tons of garbage they throw away every year. It's things like clothes, furniture, appliances, anything and everything that people donate that they don't want, if they can't redistribute it to their locations or whatever they do with it, they throw it away. It goes in the landfill.
Wow.
Yeah, mind-blowing, right?
And the thing is, though, the whole point of Goodwill is to repurpose what you don't want to get to somebody else.
Forward the goodwill,
Exactly.
right? Like, is that not y'all's name? Like,
yeah.
That was a mind blower for me. I was really shocked because for years I had always thought that all these things that I was donating, because I was making sure to donate things that were still in good shape or still worked, I thought for sure that they were being used or sold or whatever. So to find out that no, in fact, they're actually just being tossed in the trash, that kind of broke my heart because part of me said, but you could be doing that. You could be taking those bags of clothes that I just gave you that you don't really want to deal with. You could be taking those to shelters.
Exactly.
You could be doing what you claim or what most people I think thought
you were doing.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It really made me change my habits about shopping, about what I do with my clothes when I no longer want them. And it's made me a more conscientious person about my waste of certain things. So to me, Poshmark is one of those things where you may not think about it, but they are in a way helping keep that shit out of the landfills and allowing people a better option of getting rid of the stuff they don't want anymore. Here, make a little money off of it. No, I met a woman on there. I bought a whole bunch of stuff from this woman, like $50 worth of stuff, but it ended up being like 15 shirts and 8 pairs of pants.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
I bundled all of this stuff together thinking, well, let's see what she'll do with this. I really thought it was gonna be like $100 was what she was gonna offer me for everything.
Sure.
So she came back with such a low ball offer. And she said, well, I got into this over COVID because I had been laid off from my job. First I was working from home and then she was furloughed and she had all this free time on her hands and she was like, well, let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
And 6 months later, she quit her job and now she's making double what she was making at her previous job and all she does is Poshmark. And
where does she get her inventory from?
Sometimes she'll buy it new off of Amazon. Sometimes she goes to Goodwill. I asked her, she said, there's all kinds of places you can find things like this. You can reach out to other people, sell their items for them, which I've actually met another person who does that. And I'm like, is it worth the work though? She said, yeah, you mark it up enough and you charge a certain percentage to consign those items. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this is a whole new, a whole new job opportunity.
Yes.
There's a whole new career field here.
Yep.
That's one of those social media things. I don't know if Poshmark counts as social media, but I have
legit
legit met people on social media, on Poshmark. But it's like, you're starting to realize this is a new career option for people.
Exactly.
Is that not crazy?
I think that that's something to be worth noting, you know? Because as things die off, we have, once again, the infamous self-checkout and everything along those lines.
Right.
And people are up in arms about, our jobs are getting taken away, et cetera, et cetera. There are a plethora of new jobs that are being created at the same time. Now, it does take a little bit of ingenuity to think about or at least go out and search for it.
And some gumption to stay with it. Especially my son's generation, they don't have that follow through. The commitment waivers, it gets hard. They don't want to do it.
I was just talking to somebody about follow through.
Do you think the concept of the influencer, because we're on this whole career thing and how new careers are constantly evolving.
For sure.
Do you think the concept of an influencer is ever going to fade?
No, I think the influencer is the regular person's celebrity.
The everyman's hero kind of thing, right?
For sure.
Mr. Beast, my child, dear God, does he love Mr. Beast. Anytime anything comes up, any opportunity where he might, in the snowball's chance in hell, have a chance to be in a Mr. Beast video.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear about that shit for a month.
For sure.
And then it comes out and he's like, Mom, did you watch it? I'm like, sure, dude.
He did watch it.
I never have.
I saw one Mr. Beast video. That's it. One. And it's very outlandish. It was really crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, wow.
I have nothing complimentary to say other than I am so glad he's good at what he does. It's just not my cup of tea.
For sure. For sure.
I just can respect the fact that he's making he's making the money he is, doing the thing he
Uber
is.
amounts of money, ridiculous amounts.
Amounts of money. Like 100% can respect that.
Yeah.
But it's giving children this concept that you can make these dumbass videos and make this dumbass amount of money.
Yeah.
And for every Mr. Beast, there are so many failures.
Exactly.
And I really wish they understood that. But of course, they're 12, they're 13, they're 14, they're 15. They don't get that. They don't see it from that side because they don't have that real world experience yet. So here's where coming in being like a parent is difficult, because you want to teach them that, you want to tell them ahead of time, but then you realize he's not ever going to learn that unless he goes through it himself.
I was about to say, it's some things you can learn from a person telling
Correct.
you, and some things you have to live the actual experience.
You have to touch that stove to know it's hot.
Exactly.
And that's where I, as a parent, differ from a lot of my friends. Like, I'm a lot more hands-off where it comes to certain things like that. I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. And then it goes poorly, and I'm like, so what'd we learn today? And it's just like, all right, this is the choice that you're going to make.
Yeah.
Cool. But you are going to face the consequences.
For sure.
Understand that I'm going to let you make this choice, knowing in the back of my head, I know it's going to come around and bite him in one way or another.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let him do it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about why it didn't work.
And I think that is so much more beneficial than trying to manually steer this person into the way that you feel like is going to pan out the best way for them. You had to hit those bumper rails. It's okay.
I worry sometimes, though, that I'm almost, I don't want to say too close to my child, because I am close to him, but I think that's a weird dynamic that happens when you're a single parent, is that you end up having to forge a different relationship. Like, my kid and I have been through some shit together. He's been there through a couple of really devastating heartbreaks. Monumental moves from living with my significant other. Me and my son were living with there, and we moved back in with Grammy and Poppy. And, here we are living at home with my parents still 2 years later. And, to things like the death of loved ones. And I realized very early on that I am very much that type of parent that is going to tell him, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Mommy's heart is broken.
Yeah.
This person that we love is sick and is not going to get better. Our time is limited.
That's a hard conversation.
It is a very hard conversation, but what I have learned, and this is a piece of wisdom that my mother shared with me, never tell them too much, but tell them enough so that they understand the severity of the situation. Don't shelter them from the severity. Maybe shelter them from your stress from the severity, but don't shelter them from what's happening. It's been a huge piece of advice for me.
I think that sheltering too much, putting your child in a bubble, can lead to over-optimism. And giving your child too much of the truth can lead them to being too pessimistic.
Correct. Yes, there's a happy balance there. And then, children often, they internalize because they're still learning how to deal with all of these emotions, these things that are happening and things that are changing. And, problem is if you give them too much information, they internalize that stress. And unfortunately, you find them overthinking things that a 12-year-old shouldn't really be overthinking. And it's like, buddy, that's not your stress. It's mine. I'm just letting you know why things may be a little difficult for us for a few months. And I think in a lot of ways, it's made him, it's made him more resilient, and it's made him more level-headed.
An incredibly rational, level-headed 12-year-old.
Yes.
That you have created.
Yes. That I had a hand in turning into this little thing. Okay, he's taller than me and weighs more than me, so he's not so little anymore.
Okay, for sure. He's a boy.
Yeah. I worry about puberty. We're not there yet. We're getting close.
Why do you worry about that?
Because the world is mean. Because middle schoolers are cruel.
They are.
I cannot protect him from the bullying. When I was his age, bullying was a thing, but it didn't come from all sides.
Gotcha.
I think now it's a lot of cliques will bully each other, and you've got
What? Seriously?
Yeah, so my son's part of a very diverse group of people. So he hangs out with the theater group, but he also hangs out with some of the athletes. He hangs out with, he explained one of his friends one time as being the class weirdo.
Okay.
But he's cool with that being his friend.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, he also hangs out with a very ethnically diverse group of people as well. So, he doesn't really have one group of people and only one group of people. There are some children who do have a clique, and that's their group.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that. So he tends to gets shade from different groups because of that. So
because of the
just depends on who he's hanging out with at that time, will depend on what
type of shade.
Right.
Got you.
Right.
Got you. Because of the intermingling between different groups.
Correct.
Because you're not staying within this particular group, right? And we, as the other members, don't really associate with that other group. It's who are.
Right. So I got a couple of calls from teachers this last school year, and I was worried every single time, because as a parent, you're like, what did he do now? What homework assignment did he forget? Or, whatever, And every time it happened, it was actually the teacher calling to compliment me and tell me how amazingly my child handled the situation.
That's something to be proud of.
Right. And one of them was a time that an 8th grader had been bullying my 6th grader, and she said before she could intervene, my child just looked at the kid and went, okay, laughed and walked off. And she was like, and I asked him later, did it bother you? He goes, no, I don't care. He was like, I'm gonna do me. And I'm like, yes, thank you. It is working. In those moments you can go, okay, I'm getting through.
Yeah, I'm on the right track.
May not feel like it some days, but
For
legitimately he's listening. And so, you realize that all the work really does pay off.
Exactly.
It's just a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, that's
so much work.
That's the only thing, because you have to put in so much of these different aspects of yourself into an empty vessel, and just hope that the mix turns into good.
Who fights you every step of the way. I try to explain to him, he is 12 and we still have to argue about brushing our teeth.
Okay.
Have I ever given you permission to leave the house without brushing your teeth? No? Why ask?
For sure. This is the time to build habits.
Yes. Yeah, because these formative years are when the clay is still kind of moldable.
Exactly.
Once we start hitting true puberty, I don't even know how we're going to handle it. How have you survived today? How have I not absolutely strangled you? But then other days we have solid, great days, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I do kind of like you. It's all right. We're fine.
I do kind of like you.
I made you. Oh my God, I like you? What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because, at the end of the day, this is a person growing into a person, So...
growing into a person you hope to know for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Sorry, kid, but you're going to be taking care of me at some point in my old age. I hope at that point we're still
cool.
You're an only child, so.
Yeah.
Lucky you. Just remember us. 40, 50 years from now, all the shit you have put me through. Yeah.
Would you want to have another kid?
Hell no.
Really?
Hell no.
Why?
One and done.
Okay.
We are sleeping through the night. We don't have to deal with diapers. There's no formula. We are finally to the point where he just doesn't have to take a lot of shit with him everywhere. Babies come with so much stuff.
Yeah.
Why? You're so little. Why do you need so much shit?
You're so little. Yeah.
You're so helpless. Why? I really have realized that being a parent is simultaneously the most underrated and overrated job I have ever heard of in my life.
Okay.
People are like, oh, but it's so rewarding. Is it though?
Is it
don't
really?
Don't get me wrong. There are moments when his teachers call me and compliment me on how great my kid handled a moment that could have been conflict, know?
Yeah.
But let's not act like they happen every day.
For sure.
You know what I mean? There are a lot of days this is hard fucking work.
Yeah.
And there are some days where you just don't want to do it. And you don't have a choice. And I have realized I am almost too selfish to be a parent.
Okay.
I like my alone time. I like my money going to me. I don't want to buy you new shoes. I want to buy myself new shoes. Thank God he's a boy, because if I'd had a girl, we would have been in big trouble. I have to be grateful for those things.
Okay. I tend to find that the daughters and mothers tend to butt heads a little bit.
Yes.
At a point in time.
Yes. They come back eventually.
For sure.
But yeah, and I can absolutely respect that, because I'm very, very close with my mom. So I can 100% agree with that. But raising a boy is completely strange territory to me. Okay. He'll ask me questions. I'm like, bro, I don't know. You need to talk to your dad about that. I'm not your person for that.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know what the correct answer to this is supposed to be. I don't. It has taken me a lot of therapy to get to the point where I don't harbor a lot of guilt about being a mom.
You go to therapy?
Oh, I'm a huge advocate for therapy.
Love it.
Huge advocate. Love it. Huge shout out to BetterHelp. Let me just tell you, I got insanely lucky that I matched personality-wise so well with my therapist out the gate. I talk a lot. My therapist figured this out quickly, and he said, you know what? I sometimes just let you talk, because just letting you talk, you a lot of times talk yourself to the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
He said, now sometimes I have to kind of steer you.
For sure.
Or I have to question your thought process behind something. But he saw me through 3 incredibly difficult, life-changing moments in my life. And I would not have been able to navigate those without somebody's help.
Really?
Yeah. 100%.
And that's the benefit of therapy.
Yes.
Because you can feel like you are alone in those moments, because you are the individual that's dealing with the repercussions of whatever is going on.
Right. And you hit a point where you realize, I can't do this on my own. I can either keep going, but keeping going means I need help, or I give up. And if I give up, I will be letting down all of these people who are relying on me in this moment.
Exactly.
I ate that humble pie, and I reached out, and like I said, got incredibly lucky that I matched with a phenomenal therapist out the gate. But when I realized that I could do therapy by Zoom, basically, and he was cool with me drinking a glass of wine in my PJs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're okay with that? Oh, all right. Well, let's do this.
Telehealth.
Yeah.
Telehealth is great.
And that has been a game changer. I think the ability to be in your own comfort zone when you are bearing your soul to somebody.
For sure.
It made me so much more comfortable.
Really?
Yes. I found myself opening up to him in a way that I don't think I would have if I was in his space. Is that weird?
No, because you're comfortable in your space. Exactly.
Yeah. I'll burn my incense, and I'll I'll do my thing on my end.
For sure.
As long as you don't judge me.
For sure.
And he never did. I don't know anything about him other than his name. I don't know where he lives. I don't know if he's married, single, dating somebody. I don't know if he's gay, straight, some combination thereof. I don't know. And somebody asked me, well, isn't that weird to you? No.
Because that's
I'm
not what you're...
paid to talk to him about his life.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Dr. Chip. I'm sorry that sounds so mean. But
that's facts, though.
I'm paying a lot of money for this because, it is still considered a luxury for some stupid reason.
Ridiculous, though.
It is ridiculously expensive, and I think that this is something that modern health is letting the American down by not providing more affordable resources for mental health.
Literally.
I literally cannot think of a single person I know that does not need some sort of therapy.
But the thing is, though, whenever some people say that they don't need therapy, they still end up talking to their problems with their friend. So the only difference between that and therapy is you're talking about your problems to
unlicensed person.
Yeah, to an unlicensed person.
Right. Right.
So this person might not be able to give you the actual professional, objective help that you actually need because your friend is still biased.
well, I guess the term a neutral Switzerland doesn't count anymore since Switzerland is no longer neutral. But
Switzerland is no longer neutral?
Yeah, there was this whole thing not too long ago, the Ukraine-Russia thing, and they eventually had to weigh in, and they were like, oh my God, Switzerland is they're no longer neutral. But,
gotcha.
That is what a therapist's job is.
Yeah.
And, that is something my therapist learned very early on, is that I will 100% push back if you tell me I'm doing something wrong, even if I am.
Gotcha.
My knee-jerk reaction will be to get defensive.
Okay.
Let it sink in a little bit, and I'll probably come right back around and be like, okay, you're right.
I find myself doing that too sometimes.
But my immediate reaction is defensiveness and shut that shit down, And that is one thing that therapy has taught me, is that, hey, maybe don't go with your first reaction. Don't commit to that.
Exactly. That takes a lot of discipline.
It's taught me a lot of things that I find myself implementing on a daily basis. Like, if a friend of mine was in this same exact situation, came to me and told me this story, what would my advice to them be? Why am I not doing that? And in a weird way, it made me kind of shift my perspective and kind of step emotionally away from things, because I can justify whatever choice I want, It's like, that's how this works.
Yeah.
And then I realized, legitimately, I was making some choices at one point that if a friend of mine told me this, I would look at them and go, what the fuck are you doing? May not be making the right choices here.
Yeah.
And I took a step back and I went, huh. And I was able to extricate myself from a situation before I did any sort of long-term lasting damage to things. And I went, well, shit, look at me figuring things out.
Yeah. And you feel proud of yourself in that moment,
And that's what therapy does. It truly gives you, specifically you, the tools you need to navigate whatever shit's going on around you.
Exactly.
Even if it's just the day-to-day monotony. And I found about 3 or 4 months ago, I found I didn't really need it anymore. So I've dropped the therapy for a short time. Will I come back? Yeah, probably. At some point, something will pop off and I'll be like, Chip, I need you. Dear God, where are you?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Exactly. That's honestly what the goal. Yeah, that's the goal of therapy. The goal of therapy is not to stay in it every single day, every single week for the rest of your life. You have journeys, you have moments and seasons where you say, okay, cool, I do need some help in this situation. Yeah. And then after you have gotten your help and you feel complete, okay, cool, thank you for your time. I know that you are a safe space for me, so whenever the time comes, I will be there.
That is, and I think that really is the key phrase here, is that safe space thing. Like, you and your therapist have to have that connection, because if you do not feel comfortable with your therapist for one reason or another, doesn't matter what that reason is, even if you can't put your finger on it, you just don't like their vibe, you're not gonna open up to them. And if you're not opening up to them, you're not exposing your vulnerabilities, and you are not getting the most out of that therapy.
Exactly.
And I think when you find your person, and it's a game changer. I think as a society, we do too much of our interactions behind a screen. And I'm basing this off of my reaction to your offer to come talk to you, just have a conversation. And I went, oh my God, that makes me so uncomfortable. And then I thought,
why?
Right. And again, therapy has taught me to kind of go, well, why is my first reaction to that discomfort?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
And you go, I'm uncomfortable because I'm not used to socializing with people like this. And we truly don't know each other. Like,
exactly.
I don't know how old you are.
Exactly.
I don't know where you're from. Because I came into your work and I did it a couple times.
Yeah.
And that's all we know about each other, other than what we have learned about each other today.
Exactly.
That's weird to have a conversation with somebody like that now. Whereas before, that was normal. You started conversations with people at Starbucks.
Exactly.
Or in the line at the grocery store because you were so impatient with the...
Yeah.
People don't do that.
And that's what I'm trying to bring back,
The conversation?
The conversation.
The face-to-face conversation?
Exactly.
It's a lost art.
It really is.
It is a lost art.
Because it's like you said, we do everything behind the screen now. And, we feel safe that way.
Oh, well, we have a big set of balls when it comes to saying certain things behind a screen, too.
Yes. Yes.
But we would never disrespect somebody like that in real life.
Exactly.
And I think way too many conversations are being had that should not be had behind a screen. And I think that that is the main reason that social media is the worst thing that's happened to humanity. It's made it too easy for us to grow a pair and say what we want without really having to deal with the ramifications of that thing we just said.
Exactly. There's no accountability.
None.
You know?
None.
And that's why, honestly, something that Instagram just released was this new app called Threads, right?
Oh, yes. Oh my God. Why?
Yeah.
Why do we need this?
Yes. Okay. Look, let me bring this to you, right? So with Twitter is notorious for everybody growing a pair and just talking out their ass.
I don't understand Twitter. I just irks the shit out of me, but I get the concept, I guess. It's just...
For sure. And see, the thing is, Instagram tried a new version, right, of Twitter and called it Threads. And the thing is, though, Threads is automatically linked to your Instagram. So if anybody wanted
Which is in turn linked to your Facebook.
Yes, which is linked to you.
Right.
So if you wanted to, quote unquote, grow a pair and try to belittle somebody, et cetera, that person would also be able to just click on your profile, go to your Instagram, say, okay, cool, this is you, and be able to give you accountability for that.
Wow.
So what I've noticed is on Threads, a lot of people are a lot nicer. And that's what a lot of people on Threads have said. Exactly. Yeah. Where they said, this community just seems so much more at peace, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's at peace because you're held accountable now.
When Facebook first came out, it was really only geared to college kids. Because remember, you couldn't get a Facebook unless you had... Or how old are you? Oh my God, we might actually...
I do remember.
Thank God. You remember this. Okay. Yeah. So when it first came out, you couldn't even get on it unless you had a college email address. Then it opened up to everybody. And I remember that somebody I highly respected at the time got onto Facebook, and all it became about was I've got 100 friends, I've got 500 friends,
really?
I've got 1,000 friends, I've got 2,000 friends, and he was friending people he only knew in his professional capacity, and he was friending people who were clients and things like that, and it's just like he did not realize the level of exposure he was giving them to his life. So then he cut that out. And I think that was the first awakening that people had to have, is that you are giving these people a level of exposure.
Exactly.
Then we made it too easy to interact with people we didn't know. And there was some sort of barrier shift that happened there, where it's like, I don't know this dude posting on this page over here, so I'm going to talk shit about his bad grammar and how he doesn't know this, and I'm just going to make him feel dumb. And I realized my friends were bullies.
Really?
They took that feature away. And I went, Because you could see what somebody would post on a page that you hadn't even liked. And you could click on it, you'd see their comments specifically, and I went, wow, you're a dick. Things that people I never expected to be like that were absolute, not just trolls, because that's one thing, but this was like mean girls bullying.
Yeah, it makes you look at a person a little bit differently.
And as soon as they took that feature away, everything got worse. It was like all of a sudden they took that accountability out.
Exactly.
And that was probably 7 years ago that they took that feature away, and it's just steadily downhill since then. But I'm hoping maybe some accountability will make people think about what they say.
Exactly. It's so easy to say that just people don't care anymore, right? I don't think that they don't care. I think that whenever you have this face-to-face interaction with them, they do care. But that level of anonymity, that makes a person not care.
Yes, and I think that's the problem, because then again, how are they ever going to forge that connection with another person when they're behind a screen?
Exactly.
So it's just this vicious cycle. It's this ongoing thing. I don't know what we're going to do about it. I don't know how to fix it. I don't have a solution for that. The best I can do is, again, try to stay away from the shit that just does not bring anything positive to my table.
Yeah, exactly.
And teach my child to do the same. Yeah. That's all I can do.
And that's what I started doing too. Positive people brings positive blessings to your life.
Some point you will find yourself outgrowing people.
Very true.
And you have to realize that that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. Not everybody needs a seat at your table.
Exactly.
Not everybody needs, share your blessings and your exciting moment. They also don't need to share in your drama, and you don't need to share in theirs. Like, it's okay to grow apart. As I've gotten older, that's almost been one of the hardest things to deal with, is how hard it is to make friends. As a single mom, a working adult who has a full-time job, I'm also a caregiver for my mom. So like, my ability to socialize is limited. Like, I don't have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
How do you make new friends?
Honestly,
outside of social media?
Exactly.
Like,
that's something that I've honestly been thinking to myself.
it is a challenge.
Yeah. Because
it's like dating in these days. Oh, let's not even open that. That's a whole other topic. Like, but seriously, like, how do you meet new people in this world?
It's so hard because everything takes up your time, to where the only thing that you have time for is to sleep and eat.
And even then, I feel
eat.
guilty about the things I'm not doing that I should.
Yeah. Because we don't have enough time.
There's not enough hours in my day.
And on some tinfoil hat, I think it's just like, you pile on so much for a person. It's like, okay, cool. Are you going to give me an alternative? Are you going to give me a solution? If that, what is going to be your solution? Because you keep on putting more and more tasks and responsibilities on me, and you know that I don't have enough time to do all this. So, okay, cool. What are you going to give me?
I read somewhere once that a relationship is not 50-50. It's 100 and 100. And my God, like, I started applying that not just to romantic relationships, but like every relationship.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point, I was giving and giving and giving so much of myself to certain people who were not giving anywhere near what I was giving. And I went, is this worth it? Do the pros outweigh the cons? Because if they don't, I don't need this.
Exactly.
And as soon as I started taking seats away from the table, I became happier.
And that's because you have more
I'm
space.
Content. Not everybody needs to be in my life.
And the thing is, though, and we'll liken it to, I'll use an analogy of a room, right? And you're in this room, and so you have a whole bunch of different people there, right? People that don't necessarily need to be in that room with you. And so it's going to just make you more and more claustrophobic.
Right.
Because you now see, or you at least feel, the room being completely filled. And when you take out a lot of these people who don't need to be there, you have so much more space, and you can breathe.
You can hear.
You can hear.
Think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going to work and then doing all the different responsibilities that I have to do, and then eating.
I don't know what it feels like to not be tired anymore.
Yeah.
Mentally or physically. You know what I mean? Because that's really the problem, is even sometimes when I'm physically able to do more, my brain is just
done. Exactly. And you have to go to sleep.
At some point, yeah.
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 Because it's like, okay, cool, I have to reset,
Yes. I had this conversation with somebody not too long ago. He's been burning the candle at both ends and really pushing himself. I mean, he's doing what he needs to do to get his shit going. You know what I mean? Like, he's in a career that takes a lot of work to make a name, but once you get that name, you can kind of take a step back.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to put your money where your fucking mouth is sometimes.
Exactly.
You got to put yourself out there to show that you are worth whatever it is that you're charging somebody to do this thing.
Yeah.
He has too much to balance, not enough time to balance it in, was working insanely late hours, and then when he wasn't working there, he was working at home, and I'm like, he's not gonna be able to do this forever. But you also know, as much as I want to mother him, I'm not his mother. So you've got to kind of just let him do his thing. And he hit me up the other night and he was like, I'm fucking tired. I was like, yeah, of course you are.
Yeah. You're
tired because you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
You're not sleeping enough. You've gotten to the point where you're just constantly busy. You can't do that forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually you bottom out.
Yeah. A quote that I learned, you have like two different levels, right? Where you give your time for money, and then eventually you start giving your money for your time, And so whenever you start hitting that point of, I can't give any more time, I have to start giving money so I can get some back, just to be healthy.
100%. And that's something that you don't really wrap your mind around until you're in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, and I hit a wall about 6 months ago where I could not take on anymore because I was no longer being able to carry the weight that I had.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was self-inflicted. I'll own that. But some of it too is that burdens were put on me that shouldn't have been mine.
Gotcha.
And you have to realize you have options there. You can set those burdens down.
For sure.
But there will be guilt that comes with that.
For sure.
And you have to wonder, will I regret that in the long run if I do set that burden down? There are definitely things that as you get older, you realize this is not forever. I will carry this burden knowing that someday it will no longer be my burden to carry.
Yeah.
And so you kind of go, my parents are a little bit older now. They're both dealing with their own health issues. Being caregiver for my mom is a lot of it's a lot of time right there by itself.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But at the same time, I would not trade that time with her for anything in the world. We spend so many nights. I'm supposed to be putting her to bed, and we are laughing so hard that literally tears are coming out of my eyes. My abs hurt. Like, when you get to that point where you cannot breathe, and your abs you literally have to force yourself to stand up straight and breathe.
I love it.
Yes, she and I will get to that point sometimes, and I realize that won't be around forever. However many years from now, I'll look back and go, God, I miss her. I could not do that for everybody, though.
Of course.
Being a caregiver, it takes a special kind of person.
Oof.
And I have learned that I could not do that for just anybody. My mom and my child are probably about the only two I could do it for, because it's a lot.
Being a caregiver, having to build an emotional connection with multiple different people, and then watching them leave over and over and over again.
It takes a special kind of person.
Exactly.
I am not that person. I'm not cut out for that.
Yeah, me neither.
It gives you a whole new level of respect for your friends and family that are nurses, doctors, CNAs, home health aides, whatever they call themselves, whatever hat they wear. It takes a very special calling.
Yeah.
I do not have that calling.
Yeah.
And I have a whole newfound respect for people who do.
Same.
Yeah.
The amount of hours that they have to work too on top of that, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
Right.
And yes, they do get paid well for sure, but I mean, why wouldn't they?
We have certain fields, certain careers where we almost take them for granted.
For sure.
And I hate that, because I think that those are the fields we need to pull more people into, right?
Such as teaching.
Thank you. My mom was a teacher for a long time. She taught kindergarten for a very, very long time. And I saw how much of her own money she had to pour back into that field.
Yes, my
which
mom's
she
a teacher
already
too.
was not making money.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, what are you doing? She goes, well, my kids need whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
And my kid, that's one of the things my son has talked about maybe being when he grows up, is an elementary music school teacher. I'm like, oh, but you're gonna be so poor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, but I hate that was my initial reaction.
Yeah.
And he would be so good at it. Like, I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that my child would be an absolutely phenomenal music teacher. Put him in front of a group of third graders. Oh my God, yes. He would be amazing at it.
Yeah.
But he will be poor for the rest of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate that. And to the point that he will struggle financially.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Teachers only last a few years once they graduate and get into the field, because they just can't afford it. And kids are horrible, and parents are horrible.
Exactly.
And, there are just so many cons to being a teacher. And part of me wants to burst my child's bubble, and then the other part of me says, let him live his dreams. God, I can't tell him not to. But,
exactly. It's like you never want your child to struggle, because you want
nothing but the best.
Exactly.
Right?
You want your child to do better than what you were doing, et cetera, or whatever that is. And so it's hard sometimes when you have specific careers that are fulfilling, and they come with a certain guaranteed socioeconomic status.
And it sucks because, how do I handle this situation? Do I tell him, yes, go be a teacher, marry a rich woman?
Balance it out.
right. Find your flow, man. You just got to do it work. But it's God dang, I hate that that's even a thing,
Yeah, exactly.
And it just sucks because he truly would be so good at it. But a big part of me wants to shy him, I got to push him. We nudge him a different direction.
Try computer engineering.
Right. Find a degree you can earn and do stuff on the side.
Yes, exactly.
find some sort of thing, you know? But I don't know. Maybe at some point there'll be some sort of shift in the thinking that, hey, these people who are responsible on a daily basis for our children,
our next generations,
literally shaping the future of America.
Exactly.
Like, should be treated like they're shaping the future of America.
Exactly. They're not given the amount or the degree of importance as they deserve,
and
because
really,
they have more time with your kids than you do sometimes.
Correct. 100%. My kids' teachers are 100% with him more than I am. Unfortunately. Especially because my custody schedule is week on, week off. So I have him for a week, and then he goes to his dad's house for a week. So 100% my child's teachers are 100% with him more than I am.
Yeah.
And, you know, it really scares me when I start hearing about the things the teachers are told. It's like, my kid will come home and tell me stories, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I don't even know how to tell you how wrong that was that this kid said that to a teacher. You know, like...
Yeah, for sure.
There's just... It's like they have no authority, but at the same time, it's like, how do you give them authority without them abusing it?
Exactly.
That's a fine line there, too.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, schools are scary now. They're scary. I should probably worry about mass shootings, because apparently they can happen anywhere. But I worry more about the fighting. He had a teacher that wrote him as late to school, or late to class, but he couldn't get to class because there was a fight in the hallway and he couldn't get around. And I'm like, well, what do I even do in this situation? They had to look at the security cameras and prove that my child was stuck on the other side of the fight.
Are you serious?
100%.
They had to look at security cameras for the school to prove that your child was not able to get to class.
Correct.
Wow. This is getting out of hand.
Correct. This is what I'm talking about. My kid wasn't even involved. He was standing a ways back. Like, he couldn't even see the fight because he was so far back. It is out of hand, and that's the stuff I worry about. It is things like the husband, the ex-husband that I have, is he's a teacher at one of the local high schools. One of the kids in the class next door to him got stabbed with a pencil in class. And it's like, what?
Do you know the amount of force that you have to put to stab another person with a pencil?
Repeatedly. And it's like,
we're in jail. Like
we're shanking people now? Like, did you sand down your toothbrush?
Exactly.
Like, I just wanted did you make sure to wrap something around the handle, make sure
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you get some good leverage? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the stuff that I worry about. Do I worry about, I hate to say this, but do I worry about my kid picking up any sort of, like, so much of what we hear in this society, especially in our area, is the anti-gay, transgender, like anything different is wrong.
Yeah.
And that is something I'm trying to teach my child. Look, it's not our job to judge. Love everybody. Let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Let God sort it out later. It's not our position.
Exactly.
Our job here is to love people for who they are.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's just like, I get so sick and tired of just the weirdness people have around here of anything different. Like,
honestly, I don't understand
general
that.
Discomfort they feel.
Because it's like, they're not bothering you.
Correct.
You know? What they decide to do with their life has no effect on you. So there's no reason to make fun of or mock or hate or anything along those lines, because, like, are they coming to you?
Right.
If they were coming to you, okay, that's a whole different ballgame. You know? If they were harassing you, that's a whole different ballgame. But if they are just living their life. So, like...
Thank you. Thank you. And again, social media has made it too easy for people to voice their opinions when they are offended. You can be offended about something and not say a word to anybody.
That is very true, because everybody's going to get offended.
Who the fuck cares half the time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've joked for years that if I were ever to run for politics, my platform would be, you do you, baby boo. Like, literally, I'm gonna do me, you do you. Unless you are physically harming me or harming my child, really at this point, just give me my right to choose what to do with my body, my right to smoke pot, and, like, my right to bear arms within reason.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Other than that, do your thing.
Yeah.
just because you don't like what somebody over there is doing does not mean you get to tell them they can't do that thing.
Exactly.
Unless, I mean, there are conditions,
boundaries,
to this.
for sure.
Sexual things that still need to be consensual. I'm not saying that like we need to just let it all go crazy. That's not where I'm going.
Yeah, we're not looking for anarchy.
Stop banning books. If you don't like a book, don't read it.
Yeah, exactly though. Because at the end of the day,
if you don't like drag queens, don't go see them. It's okay. Like, why are we are banning drag queens? Y'all know how much fun drag queens are? They are like a special kind of person. That's also another special calling right there. Like, you cannot half-ass the drag queen thing.
Okay.
Because people will know.
Okay, I got you. I've never seen one. Yeah, I've never been to like a club or like a show or anything.
The next time Stollery does their drag queen brunch, we'll go.
Okay. I got you.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer. But no, it's just they are a person that takes their regular personality or like a closet hidden facet of their personality.
Yeah.
And they turn that shit up to like 15. You know what I mean? It's like they just have this ability. It's a role. It's a persona. It's part of who they are, but is not who they are. They are the most inclusive people you will ever meet. Why are we telling them no? I have never met a drag queen that is going to look at somebody and dislike them for anything on the outside.
Really?
Yeah, they just don't usually care. They're like, oh, we're doing that today? Oh, okay. We're so quick to shut things down that don't have anything to do with us.
Yeah.
And I think the Roe versus Wade, the banning of drag queens, the whole boycott Disney, it's too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares if it offends you?
Exactly.
There are certain things that do need to bother you that are not getting enough attention.
Exactly.
We are not giving enough attention to the things that really, truly matter.
It almost feels like a distraction.
Correct.
Because the things that could actually help improve our lives for the better, we're not focusing on. But the trivial things, such as what a person chooses to do with their life, we say, okay, hold on, we need to talk about that.
Our priorities are wrong. I read this really interesting article one time that was talking about how there's going to be an implosion of the American democracy sometime between the next 25 to 50 years.
Okay.
Do I believe this? Maybe.
Yeah.
However, what really hit me about this is that it really wasn't that far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely an op-ed piece, and you could tell that this guy had probably had a few scotches before he wrote this article and was feeling himself. He was like, I'm gonna put myself out there.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't that far-fetched.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what do we
feasible.
do? What do we do? What do we do in that situation? I almost hope it happened.
And see, that's the thing.
Start from zero. Start from scratch.
You know what's
crazy? Blow that
crazy?
shit up and start all over again.
I've seen so many more people come in and buy canning jars and weapons that is ridiculous.
I can see that.
And I talked to one person and they said, are you canning? Like, do you know how to grow your stuff? And I said, at that point, I was like, no, I don't. Never grown anything like that. But, maybe I'll start. And so they were like, yeah, I think you should. I think you should learn how to can things.
It's a lost art.
It is.
It's a dying art.
Yeah.
But it is an art.
Yeah. And I didn't know that.
No?
No, I didn't.
Oh, honey. If there's ever a world, if the world ever does end, if there's ever some sort of dystopian moment.
Okay.
I want to say a good 85% of people are screwed.
Oh, for sure. See, that's why we need some type of windmill that is easily accessible, or solar panels or something to fuel all that.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what Joe Biden's plan is that we're going to just replace everything with solar panels so that if there is a dystopian moment, he doesn't have to worry about people not having power and things. Maybe that's the goal.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, they are trying to move everything to electric, so... Oh, you feel strongly about that?
I just don't think it's going to happen.
We don't have the infrastructure right now.
Swear to God, if you cannot make a car charge faster, I'm not going to remember this.
Yeah.
This is
40 minutes is crazy.
40 minutes to sit at Sheets while my car charges. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Until that becomes better, people ain't going to do it.
That is very true. That is very true. Now, they do have electric car charging lounges or whatever where you can go in and sit down and lounge, and there's a restaurant, etc.
still have 40 minutes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I just really do not think it's reasonable. I don't think the average American can afford it. Mm-hmm. So I know that for me, my monthly car payment is a struggle. And now you're going to tell me I have to get rid of that and get something else?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem. Until car prices come down, you're not going to phase out the car.
Facts.
You're just not going to do it. So find other things to take care of. You know what I mean? Like, find other ways to make this doable. I've got a lot of family who lives up in Indiana and Ohio, and one of the things they're big on up there are the windmills, the big wind turbines, like the big ones.
Yeah.
Firstly, they're every fucking where. Secondly, you do not realize how big these things are until you are really close to one. You also don't realize the odd noise they make.
They make it. I would imagine they would make a noise.
Yeah. I can't even explain it
because they're so big.
Right.
Yeah.
So just imagine just this giant fan spinning around, and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Why can't we have those? This is why people don't know.
Yeah. We're really kept in the dark.
We are, right?
You know?
Right.
It's so crazy because we're all in the same country, but we don't know a lot of the things that happen right next door.
Did you know your power is not generated where you live? A lot of times your power is actually generated in one place and then sent someplace else thousands of miles away.
Wow. I
Again,
did not know that.
Things that people don't know.
Yeah.
These are the things that I wish we were taught.
Yeah.
These are the things that we need to learn in high school and college.
Exactly.
And these are the things I don't use 90% of the things I learned with my business degree.
Yeah.
Because there's no day-to-day real life application for them.
Exactly.
This is the stuff that it's like, well, that's a game changer.
Exactly.
You know?
Because it helps you with life, you know, like this is your day-to-day life. These are things that you can actually apply and and could help you go throughout life, especially if things were to crash.
Let's say your day-to-day life crashes. Like, let's say something happens and you suddenly lose a loved one and you're responsible for dealing with their estate.
Yeah. Nobody tells you about that.
No.
Google. Like,
right? And do you trust that? You know?
Exactly.
These are the things that, like, short of having one-on-one conversations with people, you don't learn because you're not taught.
Exactly.
And that's where, again, the conversation comes back into play, is that we're eliminating that. And I feel like as a society, we're suffering. We're just not learning the day-to-day stuff that we need.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
If you ever want to learn to can things, though, come to my house.
Okay, I got you.
I learned, I'm still learning things. This is still an ongoing thing. It's
For
still,
sure.
It's a process.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, bring back some of that old stuff.
Exactly.
Bring back some of the lost arts, the things that people just don't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back the making things from scratch.
Man,
bring back
you're speaking
the old
my language.
hobbies.
Yeah.
People need more things that soothe their souls. I really think most people do not have a thing that puts them at peace.
Yes. And that's why you have so many people who are acting erratically.
Correct, because they have no outlet.
Exactly.
They have nothing that soothes them. Some people, it's an art, it's a craft. Find your thing. Everybody needs a thing.
To me, it's fascinating how everybody has some type of facet that they are particularly just naturally akin to.
Right. They may not be good at it,
exactly.
but they're drawn to it.
Exactly.
Right.
And so many people are not given that time to go to it, or at least try.
Hobbies are expensive.
Hobbies are expensive.
Hobbies are very expensive.
Gosh. Yes.
And so, that's something that, it's a luxury to have a hobby.
Yes, it is.
And so when you're trying to find what your hobby is, what are you supposed to do? Spend all this money on this thing and then do it for 6 months and go, well,
I don't like that.
Not going to fix that again.
Exactly. All that money wasted.
If they're not expensive, they're not just expensive. They're expensive and bad habit forming. I like beer. Oh, let's go drink more.
Exactly.
You find yourself as an adult, you're like, what is a new hobby I can have that doesn't cost a small fortune, really doesn't require a lot of space or things, really does put me
at
peace, and doesn't cause me any more, bad habits that I already have.
Exactly.
Being a grown-up is a struggle.
Nobody told me that.
I don't want to do this anymore. My kid told me something profound one day. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I looked at him and I was like, bud, you don't have a choice.
Yep. That is real life.
90% of life is doing shit you don't want to do. And let me tell you what a job is. It's doing shit for somebody else you don't want to do it, and you don't even like that person you're doing it for half the time.
Exactly.
And you don't get paid well enough for what you're doing.
Yep. But you have to do it.
You have to get up every day and do it.
You have to do it.
40 hours a week.
Exactly.
And he doesn't get that. He does not get it.
Because he's not in it right now. Yeah.
You will.
Yeah. And the thing is, you will always have something, generally, you will always have something that's you find yourself liking so much more. And even if you like this particular career or whatever, it slowly starts turning into something that is more of a necessity or more of a
Sucks
chore.
the soul out of you.
Exactly, than something that you really loved.
What's your take on taking something you love and making a career out of it? I think it's bullshit.
Really?
I do. I think it kills your love of that thing.
You know what? I would say, so this, I love this, right? I love talking to people. I couldn't see myself getting tired of talking to people, but I know I will not be doing this for the rest of my life.
But you know what you will get tired of? All the back end work. You know what I mean? Because
true.
this is the fun part.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the part where you get to just kind of sit and chill.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're having a moment. But when you get home and you actually have to do all the work, you have to edit the videos, you have to edit the sound, whatever. That's the aspect of things. You know, and that's my thing. That's what scares me is that do you go into a field because you really truly love that thing? Or do you go into a field that it's a job? You know, like.
Well, I think the burnout is quicker if you go into something and you say,
Correct.
okay, and it's a job.
Correct.
You know, you have a little bit more time.
Do you think that that's why, especially this younger generation that's really coming into the workforce now, and we're talking like the young 20s,
Okay.
the ones that have just graduated high school or maybe or graduated college or maybe been out for a couple of years, do you think that's why they're so comfortable with changing jobs all the time? That sense of getting a job and staying at it forever, it's gone. Do you think that's
true.
why?
Very true. Yes. You know what? I would say
When they start
there
to
is
feel
a
their
sense
soul being sucked out, they're like, gotta go, bye.
I think there's a sense of not settling. That is the motto.
I don't understand it because I'm too old, apparently.
But it's like, okay, for example, that soul being sucked out, right? At that point, you are settling because you are continuing to go through this job and you know that you don't like it, but you're going to keep on doing it because you need it, right? The generation coming up says, okay, cool. I don't like this anymore. I don't like this manager. I don't like how I'm working. I don't like the hours or whatever. Fine, I'll find another one. I think it's getting harder now to find another job because we're in this quote unquote recession right now.
This is a perfect example. You know, you're applying for a job and they say, well, the salary range is and they're always so fucking broad. It's like 20,000 to 52,000. Then they make you an offer and they're wanting to pay you 30,000. Bruh, I've been in this field for 20 years. What did I have to do to make the 50-some thousand?
Yeah.
Please tell me what I'm lacking. I have a 4-year degree. I also have an associate's. I have 20 years of experience in this field. What more do you want from me? And it's like, and I worry for these younger generations that are coming up who are flitting from thing to thing, that they're not getting the experience that they're going to need because now the degree is no longer enough.
True.
The 4-year degree is no longer a 4-year degree. In a lot of places, it's a 5- and 6-year degree.
Exactly.
But not only do they want you to have that degree, they want you to have that degree with a specialization and experience in that field. How the shit is anybody going to be able to do that?
They're making it harder. They're making it a lot harder because then at one point, it was hard to get into college.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we can go ahead and say that you need a bachelor's. That's fine. Then, okay, more people started getting into college because more people started getting more and more money or taking out loans, et cetera, et cetera.
It became more accessible.
Exactly. So now that this is more accessible, let's put another level to it.
Another hurdle.
Another hurdle, you know, just for you to quote unquote qualify for my job because there's too many people that quote unquote qualify for my job now.
Yeah. My big issue is that I see people making money that do not deserve the money they are making.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I think it's because of, especially here in our area, being a smaller town, I do think a lot of it is who you know.
Yes, I can
and I
definitely
think
see
it's
that.
whose ass you've kissed to get to where you are. I think it's a lot of the old boys club of, you know, your mama knows my mama. Your daddy and my daddy go to church together. You know, it's that kind of thing. And if you don't have that you don't always get considered the same.
Gotcha.
And I also think that a big part of it is that there's a huge disconnect between the haves and the have-nots.
For sure.
And I think that the people who have are so far removed from reality that they don't realize that those of us who are below that are not making it.
Yeah.
If I did not live with my parents, I would not be able to afford even a 1-bedroom place on my own, let alone a 2-bedroom. And I would need a 2-bedroom because I have a child.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, when did rent become so expensive? 25% increase in the same apartment complexes.
Wow. And see, That's the thing, though. They're not going to go down.
They're never going to go down. So our money has to go up.
Exactly. And what it's doing is just pushing the people on the bottom further down.
How can we see you guys benefiting from all of these things, but it's not trickling down?
Yeah.
I think that's really the biggest source of contention, is that it's never trickled down.
That's a commonality for just anything in a business, in a company. You know, like it starts at the
prospering.
top. Exactly. And we're supposed to say, yippee, you know, I'm glad you're doing great.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Exactly.
You know, like, I'm happy, but I'd like some happy too.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you know, I know that stupid adage about money doesn't solve all problems. Yeah, I get that.
For sure.
But it would solve a good 95% of mine.
Yeah.
And then I could pay more attention to the 5% that it can't solve, you know?
Exactly.
However, there is a flip side to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have learned that the more money you have, the bigger your problems are.
Why do you say that? Yeah.
They're the more deeper things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can buy whatever shit you want. But can you mend that relationship with your loved one that you don't talk to anymore? No. What the fuck does all that shit do for you? And I think that the problems you have when you have money tend to be the ones that actually bother you later in life. You know, the bad personal relationships, the not leaving a big enough legacy behind, you know, like dying, you know, and just not feeling like you've fulfilled this thing. I think a lot of people, I think money changes them.
Really?
I do.
I think that money shows what a person truly is.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it doesn't change them. Maybe it just makes them more comfortable.
Yeah. Yes.
Drops the skin.
Yeah,
drops
exactly.
A layer of the facade, maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Because whenever you have money, you can let go of a little bit of your walls. Because what are you going to tell me? So if
and you can just throw money at problems instead.
Exactly. So if I know that I'm not going to get any repercussion, or I know that I could really, have anything I want at this point, okay, cool. So I can say whatever I want. People, if we can liken that to social media makes you feel rich. Because I can say whatever I want without any repercussion. I could have a whole bunch of different people commenting and liking and saying that I'm correct, etc., because that's exactly what having a lot of money does. Right. Because a lot of people want to be in proximity of your money, and so because of that, they're going to say, okay, cool, like whatever you say goes. You can say the most ridiculous thing, and you'll have a whole room of laughter, and that's the likening of.
You were going.
Yes, it is disgusting.
Because we just lasted, what was that, 2.5 hours sitting here just chatting.
Yeah, exactly.
Just having a conversation.
Exactly. That's literally why it's called Chatted. Crazy.
Isn't that funny how that works out? It's serendipitous.
Yes. Ooh, I love the big, big words. Oh my gosh.
I love crazy big words. Like there are just some words sometimes that I hear them and it's like a piece of me has come home. Because I now have a word for that thing that I've always felt, or that thought that I couldn't articulate the right way. I read like some people binge watch Netflix. Like I can read a book every day to 2 days.
That's crazy.
And it has made me have the craziest vocabulary ever. So there are some times where I'm like, God, this is really I really shouldn't use this word in like everyday casual conversation, but I can't think of another word to use instead. So I'm like, yeah, screw it. It's okay to be smart. Like, it's okay to like, just don't treat people like they're dumb.
Exactly.
There is a huge difference there.
Exactly.
It's okay to be smart. Just don't make other people feel dumb.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if you're ever not sure what I just said, we'll Google it together. It'll be fun.
It's no problem. But thank everybody for listening. I think we kind of forgot that people were listening.
Yeah, we just kind of eased into that. And I really appreciate you asking me to do this. It was a nudge out of my comfort zone that wasn't too far. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like, this is an opportunity. I think I'm going to grab this one. So I appreciate it. It's a huge compliment, like my son said.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that you were on it. We had a really great conversation.
We had several great conversations. Just into one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everybody for coming. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for coming to another episode of Chat It. And we will see you again next week. Love you. Thank you. Boom. All right.